Here we go. J. Africa's Last Dance. The dance of the heart. That's what my last dance is going to be. This channel is a channel dedicated to living life from the mind. From that to living life at the center of our being, the center of our heart. Okay, that's what this channel is dedicated to. And my life, as I measure my life all along, I've been completely dissatisfied living in the mind, and I'm going to change it. I'd rather die than live that way that I was living till the end of my days. Okay, that's how I feel about it, and that's how we all should feel about it. But I'm going to end up knowing what the hell I'm doing in this lifetime and be happy for every moment I experience, fully connected, fully in love with everything and everybody I come in contact with, beaming this sense of love out into the world and making it a better place, okay? And living in the mind doesn't get that done. Living in the heart gets that done, and that's what we're doing here. Okay, we've just got done with a series of reviews. We've gone over with ways to magnetize that heart in the sections that I've done, to magnetize that heart and make it more vibrant and alive and more likely for us to fall into that heart and begin to live life from that heart chakra. We've gone through what magnetizes ourselves to that mind, okay, and keeps us trapped in that mind state, along with our egos, and leading a dissatisfied life. All right, all the things that we have gone over are either of those two categories. Okay, one magnetizing the heart, the other demagnetizing the mind. We went over the social illusion complex, all the mental things that keep us. The social illusion complex forces itself on us and tells us what's important, and tells us what's moral, and tells us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Okay, it's nothing. It just keeps us trapped in our minds, and we're going to keep up on that social illusion complex. We've already identified profit, undue profit, always making more money as a measure of ourselves. Competitiveness, sports competitiveness based on separateness, celebrityism. That doesn't exist. It only exists because they've created it, okay? But they've created celebrityism. When I said before that, I have had a hard time with Madonna. Okay, fine. Okay, I don't hold those negative thoughts about her anymore. But who the hell goes and sees Madonna anymore? You know what I mean? What does she really have to offer that somebody would plunk down $200 and wait 2 hours for her to come and do whatever it is she does? I don't even know. It's a mess of a show from what I can ascertain of it. And I'm not being negative. I'm just being observational. And who would do that? They do it because of the celebrity, because of the social illusion complex that emphasizes celebrityism. Okay, they think there's something there when it's pretty much all been spent, and there isn't much left there at all. And people are plunking down that kind of money to go see her because of the illusion complex that makes it an extravagant show out of being a celebrity. Okay, that's it. And it just amazes me that people really go watch her and plunk down money to see her. Really, it just amazes me. We can throw into that list materialism. Okay, that materialism, having material stuff around us, gives us more security and happiness, and it does not. We'll discuss that further. Like I say, there are other things in this complex that we'll discuss that just don't add up to anything other than the illusionist telling us that it does. Okay, so we form our lives around that complex, and it's all a mental process. That's what keeps us related in our minds and relating to this world through our minds. Ideas too. Ideas can be part of this complex that we all hone in on and become. We become these ideas that have some element of truth in them, But they ultimately we kind of take them and kind of run off the cliff with them like lemmings. Feminism is one thing. Fine, feminism, yes, fine. The time had come for ideas on feminism and getting the balance right. Okay, but feminism is an ideological, intellectual argument these days. It's coming from the mind, and it started out okay, cutting edge and okay, but it's turned into a big mess. The way the hatred of men, and the way women have been living their lives these days, which are divorced from really a divine perspective on what being a woman and having a woman's heart is all about. And it's created now. It's creating more mischief than it is of being being of a help. And we are running off. Women are running off a cliff now to their deaths because of these feminine ideas and taken to extremes. Okay, listen. Here's the deal. This is what's really important. The intellectual feminism arguments do not take into account, nor do they have any measure of, one of the most important aspects of womanhood. One of the most important aspects of womanhood is a pure woman's heart, is a woman's heart. Her ability to love and support and to mitigate the male way, the male's active-oriented ways, less consciousness ways of doing things, okay? There's nothing, in other words, there's nothing more valuable in this world than the feminine heart, the pure feminine heart. Now we can look around and we can see where is the pure heart of a woman these days. It's a little bit hard to find. This crass, it has become. You look on YouTube and other places, you see women behaving. Holy gee, and where is a woman of a pure heart? You know what I mean? Hard to find these days, but that is what I mean. There's no quantification of that reality, that divine cosmic reality, the purity of a woman's heart in feminism. You know what I mean? In the intellectual movement of feminism. Okay, they're all taking these ideas to extremes, and we're in between things now. They've made a mess of things, and it's a detriment to our society. Okay, I am all for women being out in the workplace. I think in a boardroom of a decent corporation, basically a split of men and women, they're going to make better decisions, especially if women stay, keep themselves intact, keep their feminine yin energies intact. If they become like men, what's the difference, really? And that's a lot of what's happening right now. But as they keep their yin energies, femininity, the soft, wonderful, nurturing parts of themselves intact, those board rooms that are basically split, we don't have to do exactly, six and, but basically, we don't have to do numbers. That's a silly game. But they're going to make better decisions, okay? So I am all for that, and I understand that. But some of these corporations, if I see women doing some of these corporations, I don't think they're living their best life in those types of environments. I don't. They're destructive environments, a lot of these corporations. But so there is that. But what about the glue? What about the loving, mothering heart pureness that keeps the glue, that keeps our families together? That's what keeps our families together. Now, who's going to be doing that? Okay, if women aren't doing that, men can't do it. My family, my personal family, was held together by my mom, by the loving nature, sweet yin energy nature of my mom. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what our family would have been. It would have been, just a bunch of suspicious suspects living together with almost no connection at all. So it's the loving mother's pure heart, more or less, that keeps that family glue together, and that's what's missing now. You see? So that has become part of the social illusion complex, that the idea of feminism and taking it to extremes, people are living that reality and we're all the poorer for it. And we're going to have to get that balance back better. I think in the fifth dimension, there's going to be a different reality and there's going to be room for people being, for women being active, but still being the core center of the heart-pierced center of a loving family. Okay, that's what a woman's job is as much as anything else. And it's probably the most important job, but I am not against women getting out there. I like to see women out there doing things in life. I do. I don't want them trapped at home all the time. That's another part of this, the illusion complex. Then these ideas that come and we don't have a way of assimilating them and measuring them accurately because we're all lost in our minds and we're not. If we were heart-centered, we wouldn't be going through this. In other words, if all society was going where we're going here on this channel, we wouldn't be going through this because we have a better measure of who we were as people and what we want as people. Okay, we wouldn't be carried away by things like that. All right, but so anyway, these are ideas that we're going to continue to explore the social illusion complex and how it is aggressively forces itself on us, and we mold ourselves to it and we become the complex. Okay, and it's all a mental process. Okay, so we're going to look at these things as we move along further. And I'm just telling you, we'll take a better look at materialism and the ideas that come and go and how we get lost in the ideas that we're getting lost in feminism right now as we speak. Okay, breathing. There's this. I've championed breathing, and there is a YouTube channel, Breathe with Sandy, that has a good selection of breath work that you can do. And I'm telling you, this is a good part of this process. One of them was specifically to open up the heart chakra. Isn't that great? It was DMT, psychedelic breathing. You know, it releases natural DMT, which is, if you know me, that's what we're all about. We're about getting to that psychedelic space opening naturally, and this release of natural DMT, and it's specifically designed to open the heart chakra too. Yay, yeah. So that is another thing I'm recommending to you right now. Breathe with Sandy on YouTube. Get to it. Do a couple of those breath routines. Starts small, work up. I'm doing a 24-minute one right now. Psychedelic DMT. You'll see it on there. Hooray for that. And I'm recommending that right now. Get some breath work done, you guys. It's really, really nice. It brings you up out of that morose, sort of depressed mind state, and it begins to activate these things in you that we want to be activated, okay? The other day there was a lady down here, the lady that I had trouble with before with the kid Leo. I've mentioned before. She was sitting there with her cat was there. And I said, I came down the stairs, I said, oh, let me pet the cat. She goes, no. She goes, no, I don't want you petting my cat. And I go, well, what do you mean? So I tried to call the cat over, really, in the face of all this. And she's just that way, and now this is very, very important. Actually, her saying that, or her being that way, is a better thing for me to face than somebody that would have said, yeah, sure, pet the cat, I don't care. Most people are going to say that. Why? Because it gives me a chance to extend my idea of love. Now, when that woman said that, it's like, I said to her, why would you say no? I just want, why would you deliberately say no? And then she repeated what she said. But that gives me an opportunity to expand my idea of love. Okay, now my job here as a heart-centered human being is not to condemn that woman for being that way. It's to be able to look at her, allow her, forgive her in a way, surrender to the situation, accept and not resist the situation, and not think of her in any other way than a child of God that is innocent and in present maybe not quite what she would be, it could be, hopefully will be one day, and not resist her for doing something like that. See, so that allows me, that her being that way allows me to further enhance my idea of love acceptance of people that aren't as enlightened as we wish they were. Okay, so keep that in mind. Anybody that crosses you, then, in other words, that's an opportunity to express this love for them and for the situation, and not to get bogged down, and it's an opportunity then. People being nasty to you, sniping at you, are an opportunity for you to stay calm, centered, relaxed in that heart, and not to strike back in one way or the other. You know what I mean? Even if it's in your own mind, or in your own heart. So that was just a very interesting thing that happened to me, and I'm relaying that to you. This is where the rubber meets the road. Here, this is all the things I'm talking about. This is where the rubber meets the road, some situation like that, and that's what we constantly look toward and look for. Okay, ways to prove that we are moving toward our hearts, and not doing what mentally we normally would have done 10, 20, 30 years ago. Okay, that so look at things that way. See that we're taking everything over, and we're turning it on its head, really, in a way, as we move to the heart and become a better human being. All right. Okay. Now, recently I have come across on YouTube the 9 letters of Jesus Christ, and it's really it's an amazing transmission that has been put together here, and it was confirmed by Archangel Michael also that this is the real deal, it was it's a very powerful, very powerful thing, I want to explain to you how it relates to something I have expressed to you before. Remember, I told you that time I had taken this. It was supposed to be mescaline, and I tripped into love-based unity consciousness. I wanted to go to school the next day and hug everybody and say, don't worry about it. We're all one big happy family. In a situation like that, what becomes more apparent is that we're individual cells in a great body of God, okay? But the body of God is more apparent than the individual cells that we are, okay? And you realize that we're all one big brotherhood, and you don't intellectually think about it. Now, I'm telling you intellectually that's how it is, and you're intellectually understanding, yeah, that seems reasonable, but we're not there feeling it. That's the difference, okay? When we get to the heart, we'll be feeling it, living it on a daily basis, okay? That's the difference. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for the intellectual understanding that we are all individual cells in the body of God. Anyway, I wanted to go to school and hug everybody and tell them, don't worry, you guys got, because I was so happy joyous with that realization. And I said at that same time, I said that I was very aware of the negative aspects of my personality, the sarcasm, the slight little put-downs I would have of people, the comments, sometimes judgmental comments, judgments that I had of people. I was very aware of those types of things interfering or being the contra or the anti to that love-based unity consciousness that I was experiencing. In other words, they had no place in that unity that I was in that one moment under the influence of that drug. Okay, they had no place at all. Now, in these letters of Jesus Christ, I've listened to them. I'm going through the second time right now. He states this. He states that as we become God affiliated and become a God man, there are certain things we're going to have to get rid of in our personalities because they're going to interrupt our complete falling into what he's recommending we do, our realization of God in these letters, okay? He says, I had the list of what I've just told you, sarcasm, little put down to stuff, but he has this much more extensive list. He says these things here are the contra or the anti to the love-based unified experience, God-given unified experience that we're going to want to achieve as we get to the fifth dimension. Here's his list: criticism, sarcasm, judgmentalism, rejection, denigration, enmity, intolerance, hatred, jealousy, aggression, violent impulses, thieving, falsehoods, double and devious dealings, and slander. Okay, look at it now. This is his list of all the things that are going to keep you away and keep you out of the big crescendo of falling into a love-based consciousness, okay? Now, I think that's very interesting because as a boy under a psychedelic at 17 years old, I saw that. This is a bigger list, but I saw that. I saw that those types of things, sarcastic, cutting comments, judgmentalism, criticisms, which, you know, the difference between criticism and observations is a fine line. And sometimes people think I'm being criticizing when I'm sort of being observational. I've got to be very careful about that. But all these types of things, denigration of those around you, enmity, jealousy, aggression, violent impulses, slander, all these things are examples of what I saw. I saw at 17 years old. I saw on that psychedelic trip. See, that's what psychedelics are good for. I got a good view of this, a reality, real time. Okay, and I know exactly what Jesus is talking about when he came up with that list. And I'm going to keep on this as I'm trying to get to. I tried to get to the point before I did this of when he talks about this, but I haven't gotten to it again. I don't know where it is. I'm on the 5th letter again, the second time around. I think probably the 6th or 7th letter. Apparently, he discusses this, but it was amazing to me that I had seen that. Okay, way back when I had seen exactly what he's talking about here. About the dangers of these mental-based, ego-based attitudes that are going to keep us away from where we want to be, okay, which is a love-based unity consciousness, okay, God-driven, God-realized consciousness. And these things are going to keep us from there, and these things have to be slowly whittled out of our consciousness as we make it to a unity consciousness, or as we make it to our heart center and begin living this heart center as a permanent reality. Okay, so I just thought I'd bring that up because, and I'm going to continue with it further. Like I say, when I get to it again, we'll go over this again, and I forget exactly what he said, but it's just amazing that the confluence of events here. That at 17, I saw that, and I never forgot it. It's just something you never forget, and so of course, you know, I kind of forgot about it as I began living my life, you know, in an actual sort of sense. But in the back of my mind, I never forgot about it. And now I'm returning to it, and I'm making hay of it. And I'm going. This is part of the deal here, and we'll continue discussing that. But isn't that interesting, huh? On the 9 letters of Jesus Christ, he brings up what I had seen. Those so many years ago as a 17-year-old boy. Pretty interesting, huh? And that's the benefit, like I say, of psychedelics right there, if you want to, you know, but I'm not recommending them, and they're not for everybody, and I don't take them anymore. It's been quite a long time, because I don't want temporary anymore. I want permanent. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay, I want it permanent. Children want things temporary. I was been a child most of my life, one way or the other, and children want things temporary. But as we get to be adults, we want them permanent. Okay, and that's what this channel is all about. We're getting to the permanence of the psychedelic experience, more or less. You know, partially there, and hooray! You know, hooray for that. Let me see. I think we may want to hold it right there. Quick aside. Here's what we're talking about here. In law, they're coming up with laws in Ireland and in France. In France, they're making it against the law that you can't speak out against government-ordained treatments. They're talking about meaning the COVID vaccine. You can't speak out against government edicts that have to do with public health. Okay, if you do, you can be thrown in jail. In Ireland, they're coming up with, they want to make laws against hate speech, you know, that you can spend time in jail if you're guilty of what they have deemed hate speech. Okay, now is this what we want to do? Huh? Especially in Ireland, is that the way you want to handle it? And everybody understands hate speech isn't productive, but do we want to start creating? This is the idiotic way we handle things in this 3D world, ego-driven 3D world, mind-oriented world. The way to handle hate speech is to teach kids spiritual values as they are coming up, generic spiritual values, to teach every one of our citizens what spirituality, what true God understanding, what the tricks of mind and ego are. Begin teaching our kids and admitting as a society that we need spiritual development. That each of us needs spiritual development, that we're in an incomplete state as we rest in our minds, and no amount of laws is going to fix that. All right, as a matter of fact, it's going to have the opposite effect. All right, I'm sure. But that's what they're kind of coming up with, is ever more, this is the liberal solution, ever more laws to govern behavior that you could say, you can make the argument that, yeah, it's not good that we have those types of things. And then, again, what is going to be hate speech? You know, what really is criticism of the government is hate speech? Could we say that? Or, what constitutes hate speech? They're going to define that. And it's just a very interesting set of experiences that we're headed for, and different ways of how we want to handle these types of things. We want to handle them here, as far as I'm concerned, especially in America, saying that, let's begin to teach our children what spirituality is all about. The way kids treat each other online, and the hatefulness. I don't think there was that much hatefulness when I was a kid, going to high school. Kids are extremely nasty these days, and that tells me the failure of our school system to socially bring along our kids. Okay, there's a whole big discussion on that. We'll go over it one time, but it's been a failure. Okay, because the way kids treat each other is almost unbelievable. How nasty they can be. And I know that it's not necessarily indicative of what we hear on social media, but that's a failure of our system to have children develop in ways that are more mutually supportive and loving and tender and dear toward one another. And it is something that we're going to have to take a look at and learn how to turn around. I know why. They're teaching kids early on to reference each other as their reference point, rather than teaching them to go inward and get their reference point from their own intuitive consciousness. Okay, that's the problem. So they're creating resentments. Okay, you're constantly focused outward and getting your feedback from the kids, and that is your model. And your direction. That gives you your direction on how you should be and how you shouldn't be. And when the real way is to teach them to go inward and to use their own intuitive guidance as their reference point. And that's going to breed a better human being that's not going to be so nasty and resentful as some of these kids are, that are some of the, it wasn't that bad when I was a kid. It wasn't that bad. But these days, it's extremely, unbelievably nasty. And it's disheartening as we all observe that. Okay, let's get out of here, huh? I'm Jeff Africa, a citizen of Earth, loyal patriot of the United States of America, and I stand unafraid. And these four, Mother Earth, Divine Mother, Paramahansa Yogananda, and Jessup Ben Joseph, I've enlisted on my team to get me from my head to my heart, becoming a loving, heart-centered human being, leading a life I am finally happy with, where I can really do anything I want and relate to people the way I want in a meaningful, real way. Not that plastic-filled life I've led, where nothing seemed was authentic, nothing seemed like it was. It felt right. It all felt phony and plasticky, and I'm not going to live that way anymore. And I don't, recommend you live that way either. All right, so they're going to make sure I get that done. All right, and I can't wait to let you see the progress I've made doing exactly that, and living a life I can be proud of and makes sense to me. My life, most of my life made absolutely no sense. My condition was worse than your condition was. But it made absolutely no sense, and I'm going to make sure it starts to make sense with this movement I'm making. All right, so keep that in mind. Thanks very much. I'll